This is why I'm not a big fan personally. If I'm dealing with reactivity, working like this, because it's not realistic.
Right.
Now you want to control context, right?
No, I wanted whatever you recommended.
Okay.
That's what I asked her. I said, she's asking me, and I said, I don't know. I want to do whatever. But I said, if there are no dogs, then there's no point in meeting in the studio. And she said, no, there were dogs. I said,
Sure,
well,
sure. So
but I'm basically doing whatever you think is best.
okay, because she just told me control contact, and that you wanted me here, and I said that's fine, because this is control contact.
Yeah.
Because we can grab a dog, and we can close the boundary and all that stuff. So coming in, because these dogs are also under control, right? Whereas outside, you have different types of energies. You have people walking their dogs like this.
Right.
You have other reactive dogs. You also have to have the factor of like you're in your neighborhood, your territory, and all that stuff. So once you start moving dogs around, then you might start to see her perk up. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll grab a dog, walk around her, and stuff like that to help you. Because the main thing, so when I read your email, there's a couple of things. One, you're doing things that I told you not to do, or didn't tell you to do.
Okay.
I never said say leave it.
You never said what?
Say leave it.
Right, I know you didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when you say leave it, then you always have to say leave it. So the way a dog's brain works is if a dog jumps on me and I say off, technically they can jump on me until I say off.
In their little brains.
Correct. They're not like humans. Like, you can teach a child like, hey, you don't take things that aren't yours. And the child just doesn't take things that isn't theirs, right? Not dogs. She just thinks, if I jump on you until I hear the word off, it's okay. So the same thing with leave it. So when I jump straight, when I jump straight to the, when I jump straight to the correction, the dog goes, if I want to avoid the correction, I just don't do the behavior. Does that make sense?
Okay, yep.
Okay. So when you want to eliminate a behavior, we simply correct it. When you want to control a behavior, we have to cue something. Okay, so like leave it, for instance. Okay. The other thing was, you had mentioned something about, you had noticed that she was under stress every walk. So then you like took her to a park or you drove her there to avoid it?
It was my stress. She was just all for 24 hours, tail in, all this.
Yeah.
She seemed very stressed out, and I was then too.
Sure.
And so we took a break for maybe not the whole day, but for 2 or 3 walks.
Sure.
Where there were no other dogs.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how she feels. Okay, which sounds bad.
Yeah.
But you have to understand where she's coming from. Because when I saw her the first time last week, I was like, oh, you got a spooky dog. Because she was tail under, and she was fidgeting, she was jumping around, right? That's actually a big cause of the reactivity. Okay,
Right.
so you're going to see that regardless. Okay, because that's just her. So if that's what's fueling the issue, you have to confront the problem. And because life is stress. There's all types of different, there's financial stress, emotional stress, physical stress, all that stuff, right? So for her, there is no avoiding it. She's just going to have to get over it, right? So I'm not doing this to be mean, but I'm using every single opportunity of like, okay, I know that you're not feeling good about this, but that's also why she's exploding. Too much stress, don't know how to handle it, so I'm going to become reactive.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, when you see dogs, what have you been doing? Like, how do you, if you see a dog approaching on the sidewalk, what do you do?
If it's on a sidewalk and we don't have a place to turn away, I've been like turning around. But when we see a dog, more it's like the dog that came up behind us, and she just kept walking even though this one was jumping around. But basically, when I see that she's noticed a dog and tensing up, I give it a tap, but I keep walking in my direction, which is usually away from that dog, but we keep walking. In that case, she kept turning around, and then she started all this jumping around, which I have to, and you've seen her get her paws caught in all of this and all that. And then I just tap maybe every half second until she stops.
So when you say you can't turn away, does that mean, what does that mean?
If I'm on a side, traffic on one side and, a wall or something on the other. But I try to stay, well, like the 11th Street Bridge. You've lived around, the bridge.
Yeah,
you've got walls on each side, and it's maybe not quite as wide as this, and there's nowhere to go. So we took a chance yesterday, and we did, didn't we run it, was it on the 11th Street Bridge that we ran into one?
Yeah, there's a little
Yeah.
divot, or there's a little escape
Oh, that was on
pod.
Roosevelt, that was on Roosevelt.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway, so I guess when it's an enclosed space like that, I've avoided a little bit, but if we run into something, if it's not about this wide, I've been finding an alternative path because she just gets very wild. And I can tell you, we've had, probably on average, after you told me, you know, you just need to face this, we didn't do that anymore, and we probably had 6 to 10 incidents a day. Each
Okay.
walk, you know, 2 to 4 incidents.
Okay.
But we still, I mean, we avoided a little dog this morning. If the sidewalk is real narrow
Uh-huh.
and there's nowhere to run, then we avoid it.
Okay. So what I would do,
And but that's also because of social reasons. Like some of these other people are like
She's
get their wits scared.
yelping.
yeah, I
Yeah, so
understand
loud.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
So what I would do is actually avoid those areas and just go over by Grand Park.
Yeah.
You have plenty of space to work with. It's right across the street from
Well, it's to get there. Believe
But
it,
aren't you
it's
at
like
9:10?
running a gauntlet. I know, we can't go out the front, I have to go out the back. So walking that one block is like a gauntlet sometimes with so many dogs. All the dogs at 910 have to go out the back entrance.
Yeah, the one that comes out on the side by the sushi place?
No. the
No,
back end.
in all the way in back.
Oh.
There
okay.
is a Ninth Street entrance, but that's so narrow, I don't want to run into another dog on there coming home.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we go out the back entrance,
Uh-huh.
then we walk over to Ninth and walk to the park, and usually right there at Ninth in Michigan, there can easily be 3 or 4 dogs there,
Mhm.
right there.
Mhm.
And so sometimes I've been walking to 8th and then go into the park. And there might be 1 or 2, but not so many right there, because so many people take it right there, and it's just a constant, then I've got the constant
Okay, and what's your number? What's your number?
62.
62. So let's say you see a dog, you become reactive, you're at 62,
Mhm.
you give a tap,
Mhm.
and then what happens?
I keep tapping. I'm not coordinated enough to change this at the same time.
I understand, but
Yeah.
so you keep tapping. So
I
then
keep
she's
tapping
yelling.
and we keep walking.
Gotcha.
And so she's jumping around and I keep walking.
And barking a lot.
Yeah.
Could you bring me cane? So I think what's happening here, so it's a couple of things. I know that you're limited in certain spots, but that's why stationary is easy. Because when you're moving,
Mhm.
you have too much going on to really see or read, is the dog okay? So I actually think you're over tapping and you're actually escalating her.
Usually it's not more than 3 taps, 3 or 4. That might be, well, I have kept walking, so you're saying it's better for us to stop and let the other dog go
Yeah,
by?
that's why I did the first class.
Yeah.
I
Well,
said,
it doesn't always sink in for me just exactly why we're doing it and that was an important point.
yeah, so the easiest part, the easiest, to make reactivity easy,
You're a good girl.
so here,
So
hold it
that's
there.
like the vein right there.
Yeah.
So lightly pull up on your leash,
Okay.
tap,
Good
there you go.
girl. Yes, my girl.
And remember, no talking.
Oh, okay.
Because what you're trying to do here is you're trying to create passiveness. Okay, I'm sorry. What we're trying to do is create passiveness, but what you're doing, good girl, that's okay, great, is you're stimulating. Okay, so passiveness and stimulation are completely opposite.
All right.
Okay, so I know what you're doing. You're doing that because you want to praise or let them know that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Right? But the way you're doing so creates energy, and that energy quickly turns into reactivity,
Okay.
stimulation. Okay?
All right.
So an overexcited dog can very quickly go into reactivity mode. Okay, so this is Kane. This is a reactive dog that I work with. Okay. Hold on a little bit for this guy. So go ahead and bring me over here. Just walk past me. And you're gonna loop with the UE here. Good, and then have you come right here. A little bit closer, closer, right here, that little, right in that middle. Full steps forward, a little more, right there, perfect. Okay, and then lighten it up, like this.
Make her sit. Pull
Oh.
the chain.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, that's fine right there. Okay. So, now relax. So when you step aside, okay, and even if it's like tight space, like when you said there's traffic on one side, there's a wall on the other side, right? There's parking right there, isn't there? Like there's parking spots?
On 9th, yeah.
Yeah. So what I would do is, so the way I'm picturing it is I'm coming up where the sushi place is here, 910 is here, right?
Right.
Is if you see a dog coming and you don't have the grass, I mean, that's actually a fairly wide sidewalk.
Yeah.
You know, is that I step aside, and if being at the edge of the sidewalk for you isn't enough space, then go between the cars,
Okay.
okay? But then you have to be very mindful of where you have your leash, because then if she jumps, if you're in between cars, she's gonna jump into the car, okay? So you can give, you know, you utilize the space you have. So like when you came in, I said hug there and then come through there because of where you had me in position, right? So what you want to do is learn how to start reading space. Okay, so if I have, and you can always switch her, by the way. She doesn't have to be on your left. If you come into a situation where it's like, let's say person, dog, person, okay? There. Okay, up, okay, okay, up, okay, okay, okay. There you go, up again, okay. There you go, never lapse, okay? And what I would do here is actually choke up a bit more. See how I have up here with the cane? There you go.
I got a new leash too that's more manageable.
There you go. So the reason why I'm choking up higher here is when she jumps on you, the closer you are to this collar, right? So let me see this. I can right away remove the dog. But when you're here, you have to go further out, and your arm only goes so far, right? So here, if you go stationary, it's okay to choke up here, because when you relax, if you see my hand, there's no tension. What I don't want is when people shorten and they do this, because that creates tension, right? So we want to anticipate the jump, right? And just assume that when you step aside and you start remoting me up, she's going to jump, okay? So you build your habit of shortening that leash. So if she jumps on you, it's an immediate move away. Ideally, you want to anchor yourself. You are not going to move. She moves to you, okay? But the moment you start doing this and you're shuffling, you look, it comes off as, I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm not confident enough to claim my space, okay? Because I'm reading your body language and the dog reading your body language. And she reads it better than I do, okay? So if a dog jumps on me, right away I'm just like, boom, right? So did you see Malachi's video, the pit?
Remind me, I looked at, I'm not sure if I saw every one of them.
Okay, so Malachi's video, Malachi was extremely like.
It was a guy and a girl in here, it's kind of gray.
No. It was a young lady with me. The dog it's like a light brown pit.
Okay, I don't
And
remember.
it kept attacking the leash.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and for like 2 minutes straight, the dog was attacking the leash. And you see her outstretched, but she's anchored. She's not moving, and she makes the dog settle. And then she comes in and she relaxes, okay? But it's very like stoic, okay? So when you fidget and you do all this movement, you're looking as if you're not sure what you're doing, right? And even if you're not sure, you want to kind of look as if you are sure, okay?
Right.
So right away, I'm planning for, okay, I'm going to step aside. I know Mia has a habit of jumping on me. So I'm going to go and choke up right there. So the moment she jumps on me, I can pull away. This will also help prevent her arm or her leg from getting over the leash, okay? So, when working with reactivity, unless it's a situation that does not look good, which means off-leash dog, or maybe the person has a dog in a flexi leash, or maybe the person just completely looks oblivious. In those scenarios, yes, yep. Up, there you go. Up, yep, come back, good job, yep, and relax. Good. That was much better. Much better. There you go. In those situations, yes, avoid the situation. Okay, because there's too much lack of control on that person's part that it's not going to go well. Okay, but as long as you have at least a 3 to 4 foot buffer, okay, in my opinion, at least a 3 to 4 foot buffer between you, Mia, and the dog, because you can always ask the person as well, I'm training my dog, do you mind giving me some space as you pass?
You'd be surprised. I've done that, and some people, it's like, what? Oh, one guy actually said, oh, my dog's reactive too, and wanted to sit and have a conversation. But yes, I understand.
Sure, right?
Yeah.
Now, and in some cases, you might just have to tell the person to go.
Yeah.
Because it does happen.
Yeah.
Right? But if it's like a really tight spot, and you're trying to take advantage of the situation, like the space that you have, because I guarantee you, trying to walk past with Mia is going to be difficult. Not if you absolutely have to, okay? Let's say it's a really tight sidewalk. What I do to give the owner more leverage, if it's available, is I'll go against the wall, and I kind of just put myself into, like, I'm putting pressure on him right now. Not a whole lot, not like this
Yeah.
one. Just enough to anchor him. Because since she's muzzled, we're not worried about a redirect.
Right.
Okay, if there was no muzzle, I'd be worried about a redirect. Okay, and then you can just have the person go, but you have a bit more physical. You have short leash as well as about
Yeah.
leading the wall.
So in general, when we're walking from home to the park, where it's likely we're going to run into a dog, short leash. Just,
Yeah.
and then once we get to the park and it's a more open space away from the dog, she can have a little more so she can do her business and walk around in that.
Well, she's always in that field.
Right.
Okay, unless she's actively that. Yeah. Yeah. And then, no, have you anchored yourself? Lightly pull forward. Don't move to her. Back to where you were. Lightly pull forward. Okay. Up. Yeah. Yeah. And then you have to do. Hey, breathe. Hand okay, please. So here we can set up. Can you see it? So I would actually, so this is part of the problem. Yes. This here should actually be here.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought the other one was about.
Did you get a pump for yourself?
No, I sent you a note. I will get one and return this on Friday.
Okay.
And you'll tell me just exactly what that is so I can look at it.
I thought I sent you the 3mm size.
You verbally said it, and I didn't listen. I'm very unsure. I want confirmation for everything. So
Okay.
that goes
This
first,
goes up
and then
here.
the other one.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if you control the top, right away, I have that immediate control. There. Okay. So here, that was for me just 2 fingers, right? But when you have it fitted up here, this gives you the mechanical or the physical control. Okay. The e-collar,
Maybe I need that tighter too.
this might should be probably a notch tighter, but it's not too bad because you've got that short fur. And what I do is pull this up. There we go. Okay. So now, yeah. Button the 65. So now, I have my knee short. I'm going to bring in King. I keep walking around and have you close the gap.
Inside?
Yeah. Closer. Closer. I'm going to have you come in tight in the front here, okay? So I gave her a couple of taps there. And what I wanted her to do is actually jump. I'm going to see if I can show you how to correct the jumping. Good. But if you look at her face here, you see how uncomfortable she is?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what fuels the reactivity. Is this insecurity, this unsureness. Go ahead and let him sniff her ear. Just be ready to pull up in case she really has any response. Good. Okay. So we're going to try that again, and we're going to try that with you there, okay? Now here, when I took the leash, I choked it up here. I'm not a huge fan of the of taking in the leash because I'm trying to make it less clutter for you. So whatever makes it, because in life, like, because I understand you're not a dog trainer, right? And you're adjusting things, like when she gets caught and stuff like that. But when life happens, you're not going to have time to do that. That I'm trying to set you up with the core things that you can do very quickly and not have to worry about fixing so many things. So you can just jump straight into like how I regain control of the situation. Okay? So I'm going to hand that over to you.
So you're saying just put it all in my left, in this hand.
Me personally, now if you want to have, I would say more physical leverage, so here, actually I will choke with the matter. Yeah, okay. There you go. Because remember, because if I'm doing this, if she jumps on you,
Right.
that's what this is for.
Right.
Okay? And then if you like just having two hands on the leash, I'm not opposed to having, you know, your thumb to that loop and then on here. But then you want to be prepped with that hand on the remote already. And then you're already in position for like, okay, if she jumps on me right away, I'm going to be able to remove her. But then having that hand ready on the remote. Okay? And it takes time. So that's why, like, for you, let's say you say I had 6 to 10 incidents on the walk. I looked at it as 6 to 10 opportunities.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah,
Because-
that's, we've been working on that.
Yeah. So, because you want to think every time this Mia blows up, and you're doing everything that I taught you, little by little, you're getting faster and faster and better and better, right? So, like so I played guitar. When I first started, bing,
Yeah.
bing, right? Super slow, a little bit at a time, and every day got a little bit faster, a little bit faster, a little bit faster, a little bit more fluent, right? Now I just play guitar. So here, you know, the tools give you immediate control, make things easier, but you still have to practice and develop those skills.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, I grabbed Mia, no big deal, because I already have done this for 10 years. Bree's done this for 1 year now. So she's already developed these skills, right? So you have to have these things happen, because let's say she never gave you anything, and you finish your training, you're like, oh man, that was so great, you know, she did really well. And then she has an incident.
Right.
And then it's like, I never got to practice it,
Yeah.
you know, and then you're already done with training.
Yeah.
So, and I had another client whose dog didn't progress that quickly, and I told him that's good, because you're developing skills. You know, if your dog progressed too quickly, you'd have never gotten the skills that you would need post the training.
Right.
Okay? So what I'm going to do here with Mia is just move a little bit, just to kind of reset her brain, and I'm going to have Bree come in and move towards you with a cane there. Okay? Now your responsibility is Mia. Okay, so when you're stuck aside, you're watching Mia. Yep, that was fine. You get ready for that jump.
I don't understand how it can be so night and day.
Too much going on.
I'm just scared.
Yeah, I mean, look at her bottom, you see her eyes, see her ears? Yeah, she's like, and the other thing is we're really forcing this. You know, like when I took her, I just said, bring in cane, right? Whereas in the real world, and in the pandemic, that's good. In the real world, we really don't have that. Plus, it's a passing thing, as opposed to she's been here already for like 25 minutes, and it creates a level of comfort, right? So this pain, the reason why this is good is this is what I would call a venting relaxed state. She's venting the stress, she's not happy about being here, but she's relaxed, okay? Go ahead and try bringing Kim to her rear. So now Kim's going to sniff her butt, okay? Right. See how the mouth closed? Wait a moment. Are you ready? So you see how she, is it quiet?
Yes.
Quiet is attention. Now there it is. Okay, so that's kind of like her, that's kind of like her accepting the situation. Okay. What else do we have here, Bree?
You know, it occurred to me, one of our friends is, Bob Hughes, who you know, he walks a lot of dogs, and I had thought maybe he and I should arrange something like this. With
It wouldn't
just
help
one
her
dog.
reactivity.
It wouldn't.
No, like if you had Bob walk with you with another dog,
Uh-huh.
it would help you, because if she blew up, Bob would just hang out with you
Right,
while you practice,
right.
right? So that's the positive of this.
Mhm.
This controlled context, you can take your time, you don't have to worry about it,
Yeah.
someone's in scared and all that. So it takes that off you.
Mhm.
But for her, let's say, Bobby's dog, she get used to the dog, it wouldn't matter anymore.
Okay.
Because when you're walking, like let's say you're walking with Kane and right here, right, you become a unit.
Right.
And then the dog gets to train on that belt. But the dog on the sidewalk, or the dog coming from cutting through the grass or whatever,
Mhm.
is a completely out of context stimulus.
Mhm.
And that's what she's triggering for. She's going, is that correct? Okay?
So we shouldn't be like going out of our way to go past some of these dogs, but if they come, by us, we should just stop like this and let that dog have it.
Well, yes, the second part for sure.
Uh-huh.
The first part, yes or no.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so it's like I see a parade of dogs on the east side of Michigan, and I want to take advantage of that situation. I'm going to go and plant myself and let those parade of dogs go by,
Okay.
right? Yes, I go, yes, put yourself in the situation, because the other thing is, since you're already putting yourself in it, you're going, it's going to happen.
Right,
You're already ready for it,
right.
right? And because when you turn the corner and you see that dog out of nowhere,
Mhm.
which you're not ready for,
Mhm.
again, your skills, your habit of like every time I see a dog, I go into this mode of shortening my leash and up and pat, right?
Right.
Is when you do it in the controlled context, once it comes to uncontrolled, you've done it 100 times, you're going to be very quick, okay? Or as quick as you can be.
Yeah.
And so that's the whole purpose. Let's go and switch now. Let's try Boomer. Yeah, it's not just the dog, right? Obviously, I'm really focusing on you,
Yeah.
because as soon as I take her, like even the first class, right? I'll bring her back,
Mhm.
and you're like, oh, but she's really scared, or she's losing insurance. And I'm like, it doesn't matter, right? Because I've already done this, and I'm trying to get you to kind of be a miniature version of me, so
Yeah.
that you can handle your dog.
Right.
Okay? Now, should I bring another one foot? Just practice moving around. Lazy boy.
What do you think of her walk, by the way? I think she's got a funny walk.
Oh, she said something about, like, talk about the puncture thing?
No, just when she walks, it seems like she has a limp.
Okay.
Oh,
Go ahead, turn, yep, forward. Now here, yep, there you go. Yep, relax. Wait a moment. Okay, then when she goes up like that, in that moment, I think it's better for you to go stationary.
okay.
Okay, because remember, if you try to keep moving, it makes things a lot harder.
Yeah.
And then go ahead and go down to 45. And go ahead and go down that way. There you go. And relax. Relax that arm. Your left arm, relax it. There you go. Keep forward, keep forward. Look up. Yep. 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 There you go. Now relax. Now forward. You got it. Good. Now relax. Yeah, put that arm down. Very good. Good. So the one thing about keeping that this short, and when you have to, you can do so, and just make an oval, okay? Is that you have to be very mindful of that left arm, because if you're keeping pressure on that palm collar, she never knows what she's doing correct or incorrect.
Right.
Okay? And then it creates frustration, which will look like that. Okay? Can I relax?
She seems to really want to hang her head low quite a bit.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
That's what makes it pull.
I see what you're saying. So just move forward, just keep forward. But so if she puts her head down and her arm is relaxed and you're moving forward, it's not so much you causing the tension, it's because her head is low, right? And what should happen is she should actually give in to that pressure. And I wouldn't tap for that.
No.
Okay? Let the strong handle that for you. And if she then starts to jump, you would pull up and do the tap to get her to remove herself. And then you, think about how slow I had you tapping that remote.
Yes.
It was very slow. Tap, 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 right? You're supposed to tap, 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 tap.
Yeah.
Because if you put too much pressure, you can escalate the situation. There we go. Right? Now go ahead and bring down Boomer. So Boomer's a different energy here. It's like a medium. Like in the middle, playful kind of dude. Yeah, now he's got her mouth closed. Now this is good. Now it's kind of open and connecting. Go and bring Boomer on the inside. Good. And you're just watching Miss Mia here, okay? So what you're watching for are any change in her demeanor. Okay, mouth still open. Good, a little close there. That's okay. Ears still back. No hackles. Okay, but you see how she keeps looking to watch him? I'm not going to worry about it too much right now, because she's not staring him down. But if she were to be staring him down, I would correct that.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, we've seen that behavior for sure.
There you go. Now she's not caring so much. Okay? We'll do one more lap for you. Good. And then what you're going to do here is we're going to bring Boomer into her rear again. We're not going to handle it, but we do okay. Right, and wait a moment. So you see how she turned her head, she's closed her mouth, so there's tension. You know, there we go. Now she's panting. Good. Close again. That's good. Good job, Bruce. Careful. Yeah. Now here, okay? Okay. Good. Good. Okay. And then move around. Good. Okay. So here, the reason why we corrected the inward one is because Boomer's face was right there behind you. Okay. So face to face for dogs is the hardest. Okay. There's too confrontational.
Right.
For humans, they beat, hi, how are you? Dogs beat nose and butt.
Yeah.
Okay. So that whole time, we're trying to avoid that face-to-face conflict and just getting her used to the presence of things. Okay? Questions so far?
So if I have her stop, we see some dog, I have her stop, and that owner should want to walk up to me. I can't imagine she'd be this calm and let a dog come up and sniff her. But if she did, we'd just let that happen until she starts going nutty.
Unless you see something precursor, like the ears going up with the floor, like you point right there. Now go ahead and look at Mia, and we're going to walk out, away, and then start to walk in. So I want you to use your peripheral range, so look at Mia, and I want you to tell me when you see Boomer approaching.
Yeah.
Stop right there. Okay, so one thing you need to be mindful of is not to get tunnel vision. It's very easy to be so focused on your dog, right, in the situation, is that you don't see what's going on around you, okay? So you also want to be aware of when you're watching Mia, you're using your peripheral range, because I've had this happen to clients where they do what you're doing, and the person just goes like this, thinking they stepped aside so that their dogs can say hi, okay? Or maybe the person is kind of oblivious to what's going on, and not intentionally walking their dog to you, but walking very close in, right? So the moment you see that, and like here you caught it about maybe a foot, so that's about 8 to 10 feet away, it's pretty good, is you have to be able to read that situation, okay? Because it's not just Mia, it's what's going on around you.
I think I've done almost I've been so hyper alert, there's a dog there, dog there, dog there, looking all over that maybe I don't pay enough attention to her, because I'm always looking for another dog to see where trouble is coming from.
Right, and you know, it's awareness, but not paranoia.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're walking with Mia, you want to think that your leash is communication, right?
Yeah.
So if you're walking with Mia and you're nice and relaxed and she's walking beside you, and this starts to happen, what does this tell me?
And this, that she's pulling aside, she's
Pulling
got,
aside,
yeah. She's
So then I'm like, what's
distracted.
going on?
Yeah.
You tap the correct back
Yeah.
to our side and we'll relax again, right? And yes, I always love that you need to be aware of your surroundings. So you can scan for it, not being paranoid. And if it makes you feel better and half a block away to already be stepped aside, do so. I don't care when you do it. Ideally not when it's going to be super close, right? You want to give yourself a window. So then when you're looking at Mia, she's your responsibility. You're watching for any cues, and then you're also looking for like, when did you trigger? Right? So if I'm Mia, and we're the dog's, you know, oh, good job. Let's say the dog's 25 feet away, right? And when the dog is 15 feet, Mia does this. At 15 feet, right?
Yeah.
You know we have a 15-foot threshold at minimum.
Yeah.
Boom, right? And then maybe she does this. And then the dog passes, no problem. I go, good. But that's what we're trying to create. I don't care what you do instead, just don't blow up, okay? But doing that, and then if you start to see, you know, you're watching that peripheral range, if someone looks coming in too close, if they're coming directly at you, now you have to shift and go, oh, we're training right now.
Yeah.
You know, don't bring your dog with, I need space, okay? And I've just learned throughout 10 years of doing this is that a lot of people don't respect please, okay? Don't ignore it. Because I literally just give orders. Like I'm just like, pull your dog back.
Yeah.
You know, step, like, give me more space. Yeah, 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 better. Okay, now here, go ahead and do it so that you're facing free. Like that, lightly pull forward. A little bit more forward, yeah, yeah. A little bit more like this. Pull, pull, pull. No tap, just pull.
Oh.
Pull, pull, pull. Yeah.
Oh, this is.
No, it still works. As long as it's on the inside or above, her head's good. If it's on the opposing side or below, not good. Okay, so I'm gonna have you no tap, just try pulling her forward. There you go, that's fine, now relax. Good, okay. So, if you just need a small adjustment, you can do two things. You can try just with the leash first, but the moment she gives you that compliance, you wanna release that tension, okay? Good morning, thank you. So the problem is, and this is super common, is when she feels pressure, she wants to go against it. It's opposite reflex, all dogs do it, it's completely normal. Is every time she does that, and you work her and correct it, you work her through it, she's going, it doesn't work. It doesn't. It doesn't. You get the benefit.
She finally quit.
Yeah. Okay?
I'm surprised she jumped up with no reason to just then, just,
She'd be frustrated.
yeah, she wants us to stop.
You know? And I just worked off with her.
Yeah.
You know, and it's what she wants doesn't matter. Okay? And the way I look at it is, you rescue her, you pay for the training, you pay for all her, everything that's on her, pay for vet bills, pay for her food. You can do this stuff. Okay? What you're asking for is not out of the ordinary. If she wasn't doing that stuff, you wouldn't even be here.
Right.
Right? You would just go, you have an dog, you walk here, no problem. I'm all about challenging and confronting the issue because that makes you better.
Right.
Okay? Now here, those last 2 to 3 jumps that she did were much better.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you just made a couple more tweaks. So again, the more you confront things, the easier it'll get for you and for her. So where you'll see that she'll jump off and you'll just tap and she'll just go down, no problem.
I have to find a way to get better myself. Some of it is, I need reading glasses. I can see that it says 45. but how to adjust this, again, that's just practice on my part.
Yeah, so me personally, with my collar, do we have a remote delivery? We have a remote. Is we use numbers as reference,
Yeah,
okay? And Mita tells you what's too low and what's too high, okay? So when I get broken dogs, I just turn it, and I use my thumb and my pointer finger, and I actually don't look at the remote, okay? I developed a really good feel of, if I turn a little bit, it's 20 level or whatever. And so when you're in a situation, if you're trying to control your dog and trying to look at this at the same time,
yeah.
it's not gonna work.
Yeah, that's why I have it around my neck, between this, picking up dog poop, all this, and so this became easier to have it here.
Right. That's fine.
Okay,
It's now, if she's blowing up and you have to tap her,
yeah,
I'm not even looking at the number,
right,
okay? I'm just little by little, because even if you cap this out, she's not gonna back.
right.
She's not gonna start bleeding.
Well, and one of the questions you asked me is, with the yelping, is that because I had it too strong? And now, and so we were experimenting, and no, it isn't because of this. She's yelping because she wants to yelp.
Gotcha. So,
Because I haven't had her higher than 61.
sure, and you can also, like, if you're going on a walk together and you see a dog situation like that, film it. And then send it to me. And I'll look at it and I'm like, oh, I can, and if you just say, I'm tapping right now, I can see the situation and can multiple figure out whether or not it's because it's too high or she's just being, a rat. But like, let's say you're at 60 and you're correcting her and, the situation stops and it takes you 3 taps, but then the next 5 dogs, she blows up again. What does that tell me? Too low. Too low. Even if she's yelping.
Yeah.
Right, so then I preempt it and go to 65, right? And so there's a couple ways of going about it. You can either, in a situation, just tap and bump it, not worrying about where the number is.
Right.
And then maybe she gets a big yelp, and she just sits her butt down and she shuts up.
Yeah.
And you look at it and you're like 85, okay? And I go, okay, so I went from 60 to 85. And then I go back down to 60 for obedience. I see the dog half a block away. I step aside. 85, because now you have half a block to get all that stuff set up. She starts to blow up. Once you're done 85, sits down, super easy.
I almost feel like I'm better trying to be one-handed with this because I've never used this hand to correct. It's always been, since you showed me that training finger thing, I've never had her jerk out of my hand. Because I guess, and some of it's just to practice with this, to turn it which direction and all that.
Sure. Everybody has their own setup. The only, the logic behind you, like using 2 hands, is it gives you 2, you have more physical strength with both arms than you do with 1 arm. If you feel like the way it's with the prong collar and with the training hold, if you feel confident, you go like, yeah, I can control her, and that frees up my right hand, which is solely focused on the remote. I have no problem with that, okay?
I don't think I've ever used this hand to control her since I started holding her like this.
Okay.
Yeah, because she, despite everything, she's not getting away. That time when we met, I was so caught off guard. It was before our training, before we had a muscle and all that, and she took me down. But I think it'd be awfully hard to happen again.
Yeah, experiment with it.
Yeah.
For me, there's no right or wrong. It's just what's going to work best for the given situation and for the owner and that dog. There's a multitude of answers.
Right.
Everybody's answers are different. I have to go, what works for you? Okay? So yeah, if you do the one-handed and you're like, Jesse, I'm much better with the remote. I can control it with 1 hand. I can quickly control situations. I go, good. That sounds like that's your setup. Okay? But when we're working on these reactive moments, build off of your experiences. Okay? So we've already done kind of up to 60, it seems like it was in Cosby, right? And you're still getting 2 to 4 incidents a walk, right?
Yeah.
So I go, okay, then 60 seems to be too low.
Okay.
So then you can do one of 2 approaches. One would be every incident, you just bump it 5 levels. Okay? So you do 60, it takes me 3 taps, it's a pain in the ass. Okay, 60 didn't work well. 65, same thing. The next dog, 70. 75, right? And each time you have a moment, you're just bumping up 5 levels. So eventually, what it should look like is you get a situation, she starts to, have a fit, you tap her, she immediately just de-escalates, and you go, wow, that was so easy. 90, okay, is e-call should never feel like an argument. Okay? So my general rule of thumb is if I can't get it by that first tap, or I'm sorry, by the third tap, if not the first, I bump it. Okay?
So that's probably, I mean, that's a good way to put it. I would, wouldn't you say, Paul, that she has arguments with us? Yeah.
Yeah. So, because once you hit the breaking point, that's it. No one wants to put themselves in a situation where they can't handle it.
Right.
Okay? So, but I'm building off of each experience. So if you do it that way, it's a slow escalation because you might have like 10 reactive moments before you hit 90, and then you're like, oh, okay, that's the number. Or on the first moment, you're tapping and you're just learning how to bump and tap, right? And maybe you go from 60 and she finally stops and settles down, and you look at it and you're already at 95 within one instant. Okay? Again, there's no right or wrong. It's just like, what does the owner want to do? Because for a lot of my owners, they feel bad about the e-call. They feel bad that they're remoting their dog, or they think that they're hurting them, or it's a contraction. Okay. She corrected it. Good. Okay. So the reason why I come to do the gradual incline is because it helps them see the science and the logic behind it. Where they go, yeah, I started at 10, and I ended up at 100, and not until I got to 100 did the dog actually stop. But me, I'm already at 100. Because I know the dog is going to have to go and be hurt, but the owner has to get comfortable with going to those levels. That's a psychological thing.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, I'm ready because this is, I can't even imagine giving her back. She's such an ideal dog at home, so I have to fix this, at least make it manageable. So we'll go up to 65, and when we walk her today, I'm very fortunate Paul's in town for a while, and he's a good coach for me, so that's why I'm glad he's heard all this, because, it's hard for it all. And like you said before, there's so many people who have different viewpoints, and I have to firmly get in here what you're saying, which I think I have. I'm glad actually we are in this setting now.
Good.
Yeah.
What I would suggest here, and actually, if you're available, on Saturday mornings in Lakeview, on Diversity and Inner Lakeshore Drive, there's a golf course there. I have Saturday morning, what I call Saturday morning tackle. And I have other clients that are, have worked with or are working with dog activity. I have other clients that just go because they like, to join and go for a walk in the morning and talk to, other dog owners. But it's a resource for you to bring me up and have around other dogs, and if she's being reactive, you can correct her, and you're not worried about people judging you or anything like that, because a lot of the people there are either want to have done it or are doing it themselves, or two, understand and are actually being their dogs because they want to help and provide that.
And that would be good for us.
So it's on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Are you on social media? Like Instagram?
No, I'm not. I can be on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm a business. I'm on Facebook.
Okay, so I have a business page, and on Saturday morning by 7:30, I will post if it's canceled or not. So you just go to my Facebook page and you look, if it'll say like in big letters, canceled or whatever, then you know not to go.
And it's Diversity and?
Diversity in our show.
Oh, and then
it's a monument.
I know right where it is.
Yeah, it's the John Peter Caulfield Monument.
Yeah.
We meet right at that monument. Okay, and it's usually about 45 to an hour long walk. And then you come across off-leash dogs, you come across other dogs and stuff like that. So, and I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm there, me or one of my employees. So in case something happens, I come up, I help you. This is what you do, keep moving, don't move, stop, all that stuff. So then you have more practice with exposure board, okay?
Yeah.
And I do this as long as the weather is permitting, as long as you can come out. So we have our yesterday morning, and the plans to have on Saturday. So if you're keeping it perspective, either on Instagram or on Facebook,
Right.
it posts to both of those social media sites. Okay?
Yeah,
Other
that
questions?
sounds real good.
I got it.
Yes, sir.
In regards to being mean, is this collar burning her skin at all,
No.
like even at really high?
No, they use this technology on people. Have you ever been to a chiropractor or physical therapist?
Oh, you mean EMS?
The tensing it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a muscle contraction. Okay, so there is no electrocution, there is nothing like a taser.
Okay.
It's just two probes that contract the muscle, so it's electric but not electricity.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah. So even if you cap it out, and I've had dogs that need 2 collars on at once. Okay, because they were 150-pound, highly aggressive dogs. And the only way to override the aggression was just that level.
Can't be
So,
worse than the 2 flu shots I got yesterday, so.
I've had those things on pretty high on me.
yeah, I mean, it gets very uncomfortable, but you know, people they're concerned about these things, and there's just a lack of knowledge of what they really are.
They banned them in Indiana, I think it is, or Michigan.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Petco won't sell them anymore.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's because people don't get professional help with them. They buy something and then they're kind of maybe mean people too, and they just shock the heck out of the dog.
Yeah, so the whole thing with Petco, because obviously the dog training industry is all, you know,
Yeah,
put their hands about it, is that I'm glad they stopped selling them because they sold garbage e-collars.
yeah.
They're the ones that sold like the 1 to 10. This goes to 127. So 10 and 127 are the same, but she has 117 more divisions. Okay, so it's much more refined.
The other thing is, like my mom told you earlier today, we noticed like she was real depressed for 24 hours after one of our trainings.
That's normal.
Let's say that again?
That's normal.
That's normal.
Because no one likes discipline.
Well, you know what caused me though is I've had 2, I admit they're bleeding hard, but when I told the woman who I had the rescue that I said, I plan to keep her, I just have to get over this problem. Oh, please don't do this. The 4 dogs I just had in Sanctuary were e-collar trained. I've had 2 of them tell me that they're just ruined forever. And so I got scared. And Bob also is a bleeding heart, the man you met. And, so I have to just really shut that out because actually she's been, even after all these incidents, that one day she was bad, but she comes home tail ready to play.
Yeah, no, so that's a bunch of BS. They say that stuff because they want to deter people from using e-collar. Okay, so like that dog right there in the pen, almost killed, pretty much almost killed the other dog in the home. That's why he's here.
Yeah.
All these dogs are e-collar trained. Okay, and when we talk about like the mopiness of the depression, it's because no one likes discipline. Like if I was spanked growing up, I didn't get spanked and walk away smiling, right? That doesn't make sense. That's what discipline is about, right? If you don't want this, you don't do it again. But that's what I'm saying. It's a logical approach. I'm not coming in at 100. You know,
It's making sense to me though to raise it so we don't just keep repeating 3 and 4 taps. If we can get through this with 1 or 2 by raising this and she gets the point and finally gets it.
Yeah, and then what you see is the next time she sees a dog, no reactivity.
Yeah,
So we want to be able to stop the instance, but at the same time prevent it from happening again.
yeah,
You know, so like the other day I got a parking ticket because I forgot to pay my parking. Well, guess what? I'm not going to forget to pay parking for a while now because I had to pay that stupid ticket.
right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like that's how discipline works. Okay, and that's why it's not, people usually think I come in bed lazy and all that stuff. No, you start low, you work your way up, you know, and the more you expose her to it, the more you learn, like, this didn't work, this didn't work, this didn't work. You start, you know, moving past those things, and the next thing you know, you find the appropriate number, it's an easy de-escalation,
Okay.
and then you start going on walks, and you're like, man, I haven't had the activity in a week.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So is there, so I've been taking this, I don't make her wear this all day, just
Yeah,
to
yeah.
go for a walk. How about the prong collar? Do people leave that on or?
If there's stuff in the house that's correct, otherwise you can take it
I
off.
take it out, yeah.
Yeah. These tools are when you need them,
Why not, yeah.
okay?
I'm going with a friend to Michigan and we'll be, you know, in Union Pier, very, you know, we're gonna run into dogs, probably off leash even, now and then, but it's not like where I am. So I'll just leave it on her while we're going around there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you have it when you need it,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
So what I would do this week is remember, you want to start just taking advantage of those situations.
Right.
You're already putting yourself there, it's gonna suck, you know it, but that's gonna actually help you just have things easier, okay? you have, when you're anticipating, she's probably gonna jump on me, and then once you see like, oh, it's been 2 weeks, she hasn't jumped on me, then I go with, maybe I don't need that tightness anymore, because I've seen it in 2 weeks, okay?
And do you leave it high then at 70? Let's say we go up to 70. Do you leave it high, or do you ever then go lower?
So for obedience, you can go lower. So if she's doing perfect on 45, but
Yeah.
then when you see dogs, you need 70,
Yeah.
then you would just adjust it and then adjust it back down.
Right. Okay.
Now, one more thing before I forget, is coming around corners,
Yeah,
right? Because you can't see it with the dog.
right.
Fan out,
Yeah.
okay? So if this is the corner here, right, of a building,
Wow.
and I come out like this,
Yeah.
I can give my space and myself space and visual to see if there's dog there. But if you're turning right in that corner like this, and there's a dog there,
So let's say we did that, we're out here, we see a dog who's coming toward us. I would just have her sit there then and let that dog go by.
yeah, anytime
Yeah,
you see a dog, the easiest approach is just to be stationary.
be stationary, let the dog go by, do whatever she's gonna do, tap if I have to, and then when they go by, go ahead.
Yeah, but settle the situation first,
Right,
then go ahead.
because we did have a situation, it's helpful that you know all this, that at Plymouth, what is the name of that little park at Plymouth? So it's
Oh, sure.
a block west of State Street. So we went down there and we were confronted with dogs on each side and in front of us.
Sure.
And I can't remember if I just did an about face at that point, but in that case, I could have just said, sit and let all those dogs walk by and do what they were gonna do and then go on home.
Technically, yes, great, but again, always read the situation
Right.
and go, does this seem wise?
Yeah, they weren't paying attention to her at all.
Good.
They were even across the street. We stopped before we got very close.
Gotcha.
But so that's what I have to work on. One of the many things is to just stop, get relaxed in the situation and then keep going. I've been trying to keep walking because I felt like that standing still might not be the thing to do.
I also have a Facebook group, I call it the Pack Community page,
Okay.
and it's other clients with reactive dogs that they set up like meetups with each other to either
That would be good.
socialize the dog,
Yeah.
but then their dog will do the same thing. You
It's
can follow
called
me
the
on Facebook.
PAC Community Page.
Correct.
Could you put that in your phone real quick? I'll remember, but just in case, I get stressed. Sorry.
And then, you can just set in,
Is that Facebook or?
It's on
also-
Facebook, right, yeah. And then, we'll approve it, and then we make a post to say, hi, I'm the client Jesse, I would like to help expose my dog to control the situation.
Right.
And then, people will reach out.
That's good, because then we're all on the same page. We
Yeah.
have the same training.
Yeah, that's why I recently just started this, so it's not a huge group, but as people, join in and come along, I'll tell them
Good
about
idea.
it. Because people would always try to coordinate with me to meet up, and I'm super busy. So I'm like, how about I just do this, and you guys are on the same page, it's all people that I work with, people that have been called, their dogs would be, as well, and myself, so that, it's just an additional resource.
Yeah. Okay, yeah,
Okay.
that sounds good.
Sure,
Yeah.
anything else?
I think that's it. Your collar's in that bag. Do you want to get that out?
So what I would suggest,
And then I'm getting a 30 millimeter prong.
3 millimeter.